Okay, welcome back everyone. What I'm going to present here is a short video on the Module 4 Team Routine Letter Development Activity Number 1. Again, this is the first introduction into routine business letters. Again, routine business letters either request information or seek information. Therefore, the general structure for routine messages is the same, with an opening that provides the purpose, with a body which provides details, and then a closing which is a call for an action. So let's go ahead and take a look at this particular assignment. What we have here is the situation. Now, situations really are nothing more than mini business cases. Now, as you proceed into your academic careers here, you will be exposed more and more to business cases. Business cases are excellent forms of educational tools, because not only do they provide you with information that is a must-know, it also has information which is a nice to know. And in this situation, let's talk a little bit about what we've got here. Well, we have a small company called Wheel Fund Rentals. You and your partners, you and your team decide that, well, you really need to have a website. And again, this is to attract more business. Even though things are going well, you still like to have that 24/7 presence out there. It talks a little bit about the equipment that you rent. Again, this is renting transportation equipment, fun transportation equipment for tourists to the resort area, and it kind of explains some of the different types of transportation: bicycles, go-karts, and so on. Again, you'd like to have a 24/7 presence out there to attract and have exposure to a greater audience. The problem is you're technophobes. You don't know really much of anything about creating, hosting, or maintaining a website. So you and your partners decide, well, you heard about this company called Express Web Design, and you're going to inquire and find out information of what you can and cannot do to get this ball rolling. So let's take a look at some specifics we have here. First of all, the letter needs to prepare, again, a routine information request business letter with logical questions. And I've underlined logical questions here because you're going to pose a number of questions that will seek information to help you decide if this is the process or this is the steps you want to take. So again, logical does not necessarily mean order related, but questions that are presented in a list format. And you need to find out about designing, hosting, and maintaining a website, again, for a small business. Next thing, you are not expected to create the content of the site, so that's the job for them. Again, you just want the questions or the information from the questions you obtain. And you know for sure that you want a page that invites resort and hotel operators to feature all the good stuff that you got going along. So with these particular questions in mind, again, as I mentioned earlier, mini cases, full cases present nice to know and need to know. The purpose is, the problem is you need to glean out what you need initially. And this is the initial contact, so what do you need to inform them and what don't you? So in this case, what I've done was strike through areas that we don't really need. Obviously we need to tell the name of the company. If you want to briefly mention what you do, but you really don't need to tell them at this point in time all the stuff that you're going to, that you rent. Now, let's say that you do receive a reply, you like what you see. The next step would be then to contract to get, this website developed. In which case then you can certainly use this information. I suspect they would expect to know this information to make it part of the website itself. So everything that is strike through is stuff you don't need at this time. The rest, yeah, you could and probably should work in somewhere into the letter itself. Here we have a very basic, and again, this is a a rewrite that gives you kind of the approach, not necessarily the exact wording that's needed, but kind of an approach. Again, at the very top, I have this section reserved for your letterhead. Now, you created your own letterhead. Some use logos, some don't use logos, but the general stuff you probably really need to have in your letterhead is the name of the company, a logo if you have such a thing, an address, telephone number, maybe a web address, email address, fax machine, and general information that you would need for someone to get back with you in the various forms of reply communication. Excuse me, so that would be up at the very top. Immediately following, the top is in the headers section. Not the top of within the writing section, but at the actual top header section of the page. Next is followed immediately by the date. Skip a line or two now. Between the date and the inside address is what I call the fluff zone, as you know from the original video on routine letters. So again, this fluff zone is increased or decreased depending upon the size of the letter. Again, presentation of the page is very important. So you really would like to have the letter to be balanced, the body of the letter and whatnot, to be balanced on the page, not too much to the top or too much to the bottom. Again, you balance it so you increase or decrease to get this balance. So we have the inside address, and I have everything including John's corporate title. Skip another line, start off with my greeting. Again, this is dear Mr. Sebasi, or whatever how you pronounce his name. Again, it's always Mr. last name. Again, it is not first last name, which again is something that computers generally do with form letters. Now you notice I have a colon. A comma could also be used here. Again, totally up to your discretion. Another skip of a line, a blank line, and they start right off with the purpose. The purpose of this letter is to seek information on building and maintaining a company website. Wording, again, totally optional to you, but it must come right out with routine and state the exact purpose. If you do that, two reasons. It keeps you on track as the writer, and then it allows the reader to know exactly why they're reading this. Then I kind of mentioned what Wheel of Fun Rentals is, because it'll very briefly nice to know, but it's also probably important to know. And then it states we're interested in considering your service to expand our business with an internet presence. Now you'll notice I say here we are interested in considering. Never mention in the initial letter excuse me, that you want the company, that you've heard great things about the company. Be very careful with playing your cards ahead of time. Never over compliment, because that puts you at a disadvantage. So again, kind of keep it ambiguous, kind of keep it neutral, in this case considering. Okay, now here's the body section. Now, what I've done, I have a number of questions, far more than you may have used in your team, but I just threw them up here to help us consider. Again, you can see us. I'm not using this first person. I am writing on behalf of the company, so it's I, me, my is out, and it's we, us, or them. So to help us consider a working relationship, please answer the following questions, and I have a list here. Now, the majority of the questions are what we call open questions, questions that require more than a yes or a no, which are called closed, because you want more information, not generally a simple yes or no. However, there may be some what I call game changers, where you must have a certain way or you cannot have something, and if those can require a closed yes or no reply. But generally speaking, most of what you're going to have is an open. This way it eliminates the need for back and forth communication. You get the information right up front. And so here's my list. You'll notice I'm using bullets instead of numbers. Remember, numbers and letters in a list are order specific. specific. These are not order specific. They can be read in any order, answered in any order. Frankly, though, they would probably answer in the order provided simply because of the logical progression that I've already presented. So again, majority of them are open, as you will probably want to have. Moving on, let's look at the closing. Now, after I presented the questions, here's my closing. Your answers to these questions before October 30, 2016 will help us plan our budget and move forward with our website plans. Note that this is the call for an action as part of this, but I also have a specific date. Again, no ASAPs, not as soon as you can. Looking forward to hearing from you. You need to have a date in here. If you don't have a specific date, chances are they will probably get to it, but if someone comes through or a request comes through with a date, you just get bumped farther and farther out. Eventually, you may be forgotten. So again, always put in a specific date, full month, day, and year, but give them enough time for a response. Again, that would depend upon the method you are contacting them. Letters, give them a week, 10 business days to respond. Email, you can give them 2, 3, 4 days, and so on. But if it's snail mail, longer time. Electronic mail, probably a shorter time. Also depends on how you want the information to be replied to. Now, if you want a phone call, let them know that. If you want an email, let them know that. If you want snail mail, let them know that. Again, the information, if you have it all properly in the letterhead, your address, phone number, and whatnot, all you have to do is just say, please respond by email by October 30th or something of this nature. You don't need to give them the email. It's in the letterhead. And then here I'm telling them, in this case, call a specific individual. In this case, Tom Jones, Vice President of Wheel Fund Rentals, to discuss the possibilities of working with you. Again, by October 30, 2016. I sign off on it. You'll notice black or blue ink, full signature, because I don't know this person, so I'm not going to just sign it with Tony, which I could do if it was more informal with someone who I know or have known for quite a while. And then finally, my corporate title. I do CC Tom Jones simply because I mentioned Tom Jones in the in the letter, and it's again a courtesy copy, and it's also letting him know he'd be expecting a phone call some way down the road. That about covers this rewrite for this assignment. If you have questions, you know how to get a hold of me. Thanks. Have a great day. I guess one more thought here. What I have here is the final letter. As you can see, the letterhead would be up at the top, though it doesn't appear here, but this is how the letter would look in its final form. It appears to be well balanced. It is nicely centered on the page. It fills the page nicely. It actually presents very well. So again, you want to make sure when you get your letters done, take a look at it. Does it look good? If it does, you're good to go. Again, take care. Talk to you later.